Well, it's Friday. Like it or not, it's the end of the week. You know, it's funny. How many videos have I made? And yet I always have trouble figuring out how to position myself so I'm looking right at the camera. Like so if I'm looking at that, but then I'm never looking at it correctly over there. Pain in the butt. I get it right sometimes, but only sometimes. Clean enough to see? I think so. Okay, so just pretend I'm looking right at you. It is Friday. It is Friday. There's no denying it. And for those who are watching in another time zone, another place of the world where it's not currently Friday, the now here is Friday. Therefore, it's Friday. Okay. It's cold. It's super chilly. Oh, I wanted to say though, I'm extremely proud of my basement, of my garage. It's been well below freezing here for a good number of days, like solidly, really, really cold negative numbers. Garage has never gotten any colder than about 6 Celsius, a few degrees, like 34 degrees, something like that. 30, no, it's like 38 degrees, but it's awesome, and it warms up quickly, just like that. I'm extremely proud. Of course, I haven't done anything with it except sand wood, but oh, and I started doing varnish. In fact, I have a picture of it. Isn't that cool? I want to make sure it's going. Yes, it is. Anyway, I'm super proud of that. And I've resorted to I found that actually these final layers, hand sanding, is giving me better results than using a power sander, which I thought was interesting. But that means I'm going to end up hand sanding an entire wall. Who cares? Ooh, we saw a glimpse of this just a second ago, because it's finally time for wrist check. Wrist check. So this is cool. This is a cool model watch. I've only ever owned one of these. This is a gold dialed 6139, 6000. It's the early JDM speed timer with the proof mark, with the early notch case. Believe it or not, the case is original. The top brushing was refinished, but not badly. But I can tell that it's refinished. The lines are too fine, but whatever. The rest of it is very, very nice. Original case lines and everything else. And that's the original Lume. That is the original Lume. That's an original crystal. This is a replacement bezel, but it's original Seiko, but it's a service replacement. It's too late. It's a late one. It's got the white dot under 60. That shouldn't be there. But the rest of it looks so nice and it matches everything else. I'm just going to leave it. These came on a pretty specific bracelet. It's kind of like a taper bracelet, but it has like all this sort of extra stuff in it. And they're kind of they're delicate and they tend to not survive very well. Plus they're Stellux type, which means the end links have a hidden connection, and there's no like real hard connection between the end link and the bracelet, so they get floppy and the whole thing sounds tinny. I just don't like them. But if I had the original bracelet, I would be forced to put it on this watch and wear it that way because that's what it was made with. But I don't have that bracelet and I don't like it that much, so I get to wear it on this, one of my favorite straps. This is a Speidel strap, waterproof leather, made in West Germany. It's one of my favorite straps. I need to remember to look for more of them. But isn't it pretty? It's got everything I like. And the cool thing about this too is I don't have to say, oh well, you know, I'm wearing this instead of a Pogue or a True Pogue. It's a different piece of business. It's sportier. Here's my standard 6105. This was a one-owner watch, and this watch is completely original to itself, minus the bracelet, which I got from Ryan Walters, because I didn't have a taper at that time. I don't know, I go back and forth. If I come across an unfaded rotating ring. I might put that in because I think it would look a lot better. But this is as it was original. It's honest. So I don't know. Pretty watches, huh? But I love this. That's my wrist check. Yeah, so it's nice, and I actually, as I said, I'm it's nice. I don't have the original bracelet, so I'm not constrained by anything. Like if I had the original bracelet, I would have to wear it on this, but I don't, so who cares? I can put it on my beautiful Speidel waterproof West German strap and wear it with happiness. It's nice, you know. Oops, Sadie's home. You know, more and more as time goes by, it's nice to be able to wear what I want to wear. I mean, you know, without people coming up and, you know, saying, you're wearing that wrong, you need blank strap on it. There are no rules. I can wear whatever I want. I could put this on a paracord strap around my neck if I felt like it. But I like it on the leather. I think it looks great. Questions. Carlos Pagi, P-A-G-I, Pagi? Hey Spencer, my daughter was voted UK Barber of the Year 2021. How in the world did she manage that? Well, good on her. So if you're ever in Oxfordshire, I'd be happy to set you up with a cut on me, of course. I'd be delighted to. We just need to get to Oxford. It is, you know, someday when we get back overseas again, we're definitely coming back to Blighty. I mean, I want to sort of hit some of my old, you know, my old stomping grounds and sort of, you know, look at stuff, do things. That'd be cool. So if I'm going to be in Oxfordshire, I'll definitely let you know. I don't know. So far, I'm just, the longer it gets, actually, the better, actually, I think it's looking like it's kind of settled down some. Helped that I trim my beard. Okay. But it's very generous offer. Thank you. Oh, right. Mike Smith, this is a comment about the last video and my rock wall. Mike Smith, I don't mean to be vulgar, but once I saw it, I can't unsee it. A few rocks to your left are arranged, specifically the medium tannish one next to the erect, darker tan one with the pinkish helmet upon it, in such a particular order as to appear somewhat phallic. It's hilarious. Well, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I actually did notice that before I saw your clip. Because what I do is I make these videos, and then once I'm sort of done with all the day stuff and the kids are away and we have time to relax, then, you know, I go and I relax and I put the video together and I upload it. So when I was working on the video, I'm like, ooh, dear, look at that. Huh. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I broke it down, but if you want, if I can put it back. But yeah, it's over there. You know, humans seeing patterns where there aren't any. Let's see. Ella Bay Forever. Someday you have to explain that name to me. I always read it as all eBay Forever. Thank you, Spencer, for showing the fossil fish, question mark, fossil leaf, question mark, fossil something video. I don't know what it is. Man, that sure looks like an elongated dorsal fin and distinct midline, so I'm guessing fish, but hell, what would I know? What would I know? I have found brachiopods. I have definitely found fish fossils. I found fish bones. Brachiopods. I found a shark tooth from a species that apparently was one of the ancestral species of not Smilodon. That's a that's a saber-toothed tiger, and they didn't exist for 40 million years after the dinosaurs went. But I don't know what I found all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, but it's an ancestor to the megalodon sharks. Some really good answers to technical watch questions. Well, I'm glad. And great that you're comfortable to chat fossils as well as watches. The key with me is to find things that I can't talk about or shouldn't. I have been expecting some Book of Boba Fett discussion from you, but nothing. Again, glad you and yours are all well, and thank you for all the effort you put in these mail call. Cheers, Russ, Australia. Well, I thank you for that, Russ. I do, really. It's, I don't know. Every time I sit down to make a video, I'm always like, seriously, I'm always like, this seems a little egotistical of me to sit down and expect anybody else to sit down with me and sit through all this stuff. I always feel like I'm sort of foisting this sort of vanity project on people. So, it's always kind of I have to mentally push myself to do this because I always think, who cares? Why would anybody watch this? And I understand people are watching it, but, what are you going to do? Basically, unless I'm really excited about something, if I'm really excited about something, then hey, I want to share that excitement. But I have to, if I'm like just thinking about stuff, I'm like, I think that I would be wasting your time sitting here. So thank you for sitting with me. So yes, and I do put effort into mail call. It's most of a day's work on and off. Book of Boba Fett discussion. Well, we did watch it. We watched the whole thing. I watched all of that. You'd get more discussion if I had Sabrina down here, but she's upstairs dealing with the kids. Kraken's here, but she doesn't really watch TV. I enjoyed Book of Boba Fett. I knew what they were doing. A lot of people that I read complain about the slow pacing, and they were like, well, why isn't Boba Fett being more of a badass? And I bet you, doing Boba Fett things and flying around and shooting stuff. And I was thinking, I bet you they're going to save it basically until the last episode because he's doing this slow burn. And sure enough, he did. I wasn't surprised to see it. Book of Boba Fett, it made sense to me. It's all part of the larger kind of Mandalorian theme. And I think part of the problem is Boba Fett never had really much of a character building thing. If you watch Clone Wars has a lot of him basically as a child, and it sort of shows him growing up and doing what it is he's going to do. It doesn't really show him as an adult. And so we see this, at the end of, Return of the Jedi, he gets thrown into a sarlacc. So in Boba Fett, he goes through a literal and figurative and philosophical transition where he is literally, given into death and then reborn from the sands of Tatooine. And so he has to, and he's stripped of all the things that make him Boba Fett, his armor and his weapons, and and he was never a hand-to-hand combat guy. Think about Attack of the Clones with him fighting Obi-Wan on Kamino in the rain. He was never a hand-to-hand fighter. Now he is. And he's getting older, and he went through a pretty nasty near-death experience, and he wanted to sort of reevaluate life, and he's coming up with a new plan. It made perfect sense to me. If he had just run around doing Boba Fett stuff, flying in the air and shooting, then there would be no personal growth. Also, that sort of character style spot is taken up by the Mandalorian himself. He's sort of he's taking over. He's the new Boba. Though I do remember there were some publicity stills from before the first season aired that showed from the scene when they're riding those speeder bikes out to way the heck out into the desert. The concept art, one of the riders was wearing Boba Fett armor, not Mandalorian armor, or Mandalorian armor, but not Beskar armor. He was wearing painted Beskar armor. So maybe the Mandalorian was supposed to be Boba Fett, and it just didn't work out that way for whatever reason. But it's fun to watch. I'm enjoying it. I think they're doing good things with the stories. Some of it's a little hackneyed, but, being cheesy, that's what Star Wars is all about. The whole, scooter thing, though, I get it. All right, fine. I was a scooter boy. Mods, I was mod adjacent. I wasn't a full mod. I was a scooter boy, which is a different thing. It still has, the two-tone music and stuff, but those, modding Vespa kids, I was like, oh, you're kidding me. They mod themselves, so they're mods, but they're actually mods. The bikes even had mirrors and everything, and they looked like, people keep saying Vespa, they actually look like Lambrettas to me, but that's me. I don't know. I dig it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things from Star Wars that I'm like, bleh, but I enjoyed a lot more, thinking about a fourth installment of Star Trek of the JJ verse, and I'm like, woo, I won't bother saying that. I'm saying that as a lifelong Trek fan. Next question. Tom N. I thought about this word, Tom, that you used for my 150th video, which was sesquicentennial. Sesquicentennial. 150. Happy sesqui... You know what I'm trying to say. When you read a word over and over and then it starts being strange? That's what sesquicentennial. Right on, Spencer, but the value of vaccines. Well, yes, absolutely, 100%. They lifted humanity out of the dark ages of medicine. They certainly did. Back to watches. I wear my daily Speedy 3520.50, aka Triple Date, which it's the Michael Schumacher Omega Speedmaster. It's small, very, very colorful. It's one of the ones that is powered by a module on the front, if memory serves. They're hell on wheels to service, I'll tell you that for nothing. In any case, I wear my daily Speedy Triple Date on a tan tapered leather strap with white stitching. It works well for me. Thanks for coming. Oh, also thanks for covering the high beats. And no, you were the one with that watch. And no, it was not you who did the service. Okay, well, that's fine. I just want to make sure that if something goes not the way it should, I want to know about it first. If there's something that I've done that isn't right, tell me about it. I won't enjoy reading the email, but I'll be glad that it came to me first so I could deal with it. Let's see. By the way, I got a beautiful sapphire display case back for the King Seiko 45 from Camille, aka the Lapinist. I've been meaning to bother him, but I know that he's backed up. Highly recommended for €100. One more thing. I heard you're on the Dog Watch interview. I completely forgot about this, people. I was interviewed for a podcast for on the Dog Watch, and it was I should put a link or something in. I think it's literally on the dogwatch dot something, but I'll put that thing in. But yeah, he wanted to interview me. I haven't really listened to the whole thing, mostly because I don't get a whole lot of time to do that and listen to stuff without getting interrupted. It was a fun process. Talking to him. I think that I probably gave him too much, and I forgot my point at least 3 different times, and he had to remind me. Well, what are you going to do? Thank you for listening to it. Okay. Did I understand you in your interview? Did I understand you correctly in that the Lume on 6139s and the like used radionuclides? Let us know when you do part 2. It's my understanding these are this old stuff. This is tritium. That's my understanding. It's still light reactive, and this old Lume, because it's so nice, it's not damaged. It does still glow. This is one of the things when it comes to really fine technical details, especially when it comes to chemistry, molecular, that kind of stuff. I tend to get my head mixed around. All I know is that this stuff isn't radium and it's not superluminova. But I believe it's tritium. If somebody else knows what it actually is, please tell me. I've known in the past. Somebody tells me, I forget. I should know. I don't. If it's radioactive, I did read an article today about how you can construct at home easily and inexpensively your own cloud chamber to test to see if you've got radioactive material on your hands. And it involves a closed plexiglass style box that you fill with alcohol vapor, and then you put the object in there, and the alcohol vapor, when you have radioactive particles come through, it leaves a trail of mist. So maybe I'll do that. Wouldn't that be fun? Or I could just buy a Geiger counter. That'd be another neat thing too. Might need one soon with old Mr. Putin threatening nuclear reactions to places like Finland. Dude, really? Finland, Sweden? You're threatening Sweden and Finland with nukes, as well as the rest of the world. This might be, he might have overreached. I certainly hope he did. But that's enough world politics. Though I wish the best for the people and the government and the military in Ukraine. Taylor J. I prefer watches with a date function as well. Yeah, I really prefer date. My workaround for the Speedmaster is to use the chronograph hand to indicate the date. I rarely use the chronograph, and even if I do, I just reset it back to the date. I also prefer the speed on a fabric strap. Wears nice. Yeah, I really want to have more like two-piece. This thing, I trimmed my beard and this thing came back. They're the same length, but this one goes like that. I don't know why. I'm going to have to aggressively trim that, I think. Unless I want to keep being asymmetrical. I'll trim it later. I want more fabric straps. I got some Perlon straps, and I was really sort of excited to see them, but they were harder and more plasticky than what I was expecting. The Seiko S&K like 809 straps, those are like really perfect because they're structured. They're sewn along the edges and you get these nice ridges, but they're soft, but they're thick at the same time. They don't feel constricting. It's almost perfect. I really like the idea of cloth straps, and I keep waiting to find like the perfect one, and I haven't yet. You know, I think my favorite cloth straps are the really old style single pass. They used to call this gross grain, Grosgrain, Grosgrain, Grosgrain. In any case, but they're thin, flexible nylon straps. These are old. My granddad had tons of these. I don't think this one came. I don't think this strap came from. It might have. I don't know. I love it. Look at the asymmetrical button. Buckle. But that's the kind of cloth strap I like. I think that's pretty cool. Old school. Yeah, Granddad used to wear that. People talk about the old man bands, and those are coming back, but these sorts of old school straps, I don't know. There's another term for these, and I can't remember what it is for this type of strap. I've bought them. They're neat. That was the way to go. And plus, it makes it so easy. You just run it through, and it's not all big and bulky like a NATO or even a Zulu with a giant metal stuff on it. I want to have as least intrusive as possible. You use the chronograph hand to indicate the date. Use the chronograph hand to indicate the date. So do you just use the minutes as the date? Like 1 minute is the first, 2 minutes is the second, that kind of thing? Or did you have, or are you using like the 30-minute register? That's what I'd do, is the 30-minute register, if I was going to do that. I'd always forget though. The thing is if it's not happening automatically, 9 times out, I'll start forgetting, and the next thing you know, I just won't do it, and then it's, a system is only as good as the amount of maintenance and adherence it receives. So let me know, I'm curious. Matthew Evers. Oh yeah, asking about asking about 7548's productions. Does anybody know when the first 7548 divers were produced? Like what their first month was? February 77 is the earliest thing that I've been told. This just came in, actually. I just got this in from Tokyo. Unrestored, haven't touched it. Look at the frosting on the Tsunami. It's still dirty. I haven't even really cleaned it. It's the original strap. Really, really stiff, though. I don't think this one is usable. It'll probably just shatter. I wish there was some way to find out. I mean, if I massage it, it gets a little more bendy, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I haven't cleaned it or done anything to it yet. This one's cool because it has, what you see with Japanese watches is it's got 2 battery change marks as well as these numbers, which I see on Japanese watches. I'm not 100% what they mean or stand for. Anyway, I think it's very cool. They're such great watches. Anyway, Matthew Evers. I don't know about the earliest month of production, but I've noticed on eBay that 1981 also seems to be a prolific year for 7548s and 6309s. They are all over the place. And it's true. It's absolutely true. Ooh, I'm sorry. That box is underneath the other box. I'm not going to go dig it out. 81, as far as I know, is when production started to be shifted from Japan to Hong Kong. So, like, I have my 6309 diver that came to me in a service case. It was a 77 entire interior with a service case. And the service case was dated 1981, and it said, has a sticker on the back and said, assembled in Hong Kong from Japanese parts. But yeah, 1981, at that time when they were moving, you can still get Hong Kong made 6309 and 7548s that are using Japanese parts. And I think they were making them in both places or something like that, because 1981, there's a ton of them, especially through the summer. 81, it's easily the most common date time that I've ever seen. It's another one, 6309s. I see 79 a lot, 78 and 79 a lot. 754.8s, even though they were made earlier, I almost always see them. It's rare for me to see them in the 70s. I actually don't remember when this one is from. November 1980, almost 1981. I mean, close doesn't always count, but I mean, that's pretty close. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, next question. Super Cruise. Okay. See? Just a couple minutes before 5. That's what we want. Super Cruise is talking, he's adding on about the automatic winding facilities, automatic winding setups for Seikos with the ball bearings. They call it automatic framework with ball bearings, and whether or not that can be tightened up because they loosen up. Spencer, it has been my experience for 6139 and 6138 winding bridges bearing races, I find the upper retaining race gets loose and can often be pushed down slightly or tightened from the top using a staking press from the top side, pressing down on the upper retaining ring. Also, the rivets on the winding weight bridge get loose, allowing the weight to flop up and down, which also contributes to bridge wear and noise. I haven't seen that very often, but I have seen it. I remember actually once I opened up the back of some 6000 series watch, and the weight part was completely detached from the metal attachment part. So yeah, those do loosen up. I've tried to tighten them in the past. I don't think I knew what I was doing at that point, because all I ended up doing was just pushing the rivets out. I find that you can tighten these rivets with the right stake and tighten the weight bridge. I'm sure you already know this, but thought your viewers might appreciate the knowledge. John S. Never assume that I know anything, or that if I know something that it's actually correct. I've tried some on those. I guess let's break and look at winding. Use a staking press like king king king, or you don't use the Zeitz to get more precise control. I don't know. If I can get over there and I can come up with something, I'll cut this and I'll make a slot over there, and we shall see. Okay. Just for fun, I'll put a break in here. So I got a bunch of different winding bridges here. These little ones are 6138. I'm sorry, 61. These are all 6139s. Now some of these, and I just destroyed my organization. I had these organized so that I had some that were okay, good, pretty decent, and bad. But let's see, let me get this thing over here. All right, so just to sort of give a visual of what we got going on here. With these little things, you have an inner diddly and an outer diddly. Your inner diddly, containing the inner races, is the central rotor thingy, which is right here, stuck. Where'd it go? So that's that little central rotor, the top square side bit. That is what goes into the slot on the weight. And on the other side, we see that it's got this little eccentric post here. It moves around so that when you have your magic lever, pawl lever, and it sits right on there. And as this thing goes around from the weight, it goes booga, 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 just like that. Yes, exactly just like that. So let's see. So we know, okay, let's go there. I just want to see if we can get anything going in terms of, I'm not going to put this together. I just want to kind of look at it. Okay, so that would actually go then in the bottom. So all the fun stuff is going to happen up top. Okay, would you not? The reason I have the pawl lever in there is because it holds up this thing a little better. Okay, now I did have a whole bunch of these little ball bearings somewhere. I'm not going to futz with them. I don't think I'm going to find 6. I'll be shocked if I find 6. One never knows, but if I don't find 6, I'm not going to find 6. Oh, I found 1. Oh, would you stop that? Uh-oh, it's magnetized. It's running away. God bless it. Stop it. You got nothing better to do. Jeez, oh Pete. Come here. Ugh. It's the Rotico for you. Come here. Wink. Good. Okay, I got one. So there's ball bearing. I'll watch, it's gonna run away. Oh, it didn't. Now I can grab you. Okay, so that's a ball bearing. There's 6 of those in there. Then you have a cage, and this little funky dealy, it goes in there, and the ball bearings ride in their slots. They're little keepers. Like that, just like that. Gotta have this, because if you didn't have the cage, you'd have the ball bearings would just all gather up on one side and the whole thing come to pieces. And we cannot have that. And then we got us the top locking ring. And so we can see, well, I hope you can see. Let's see if I can show you this. Darn it. Okay, so this is too pink. How about this? I'll just go like this. Okay, so we got us the, would you stop that? So this is the inner race. Right now it's upside down. So you can see, if we look at it sideways, see how it's got that sort of that angle there and on both sides? What that angle is right there, that's the top of the channel, which the ball bearing's right in. So if we had 6 ball bearings, we could go kapoink and put that right in there. So the question is, what's the problem? Okay, well, the problem is, like, let's get a little bit of paper in here. So you have the top ring. Just imagine this in cross section, and I'm drawing it upside down, which is not helpful. And then this is on then you've got your cage runs across there, and then you got your ball bearings, and then wait, I'm all jacked up. The hell. You know what? Let's just go more simple. Let's just go more simple. How about this? This is what it looks like in cross section. You got this 2 channels, 2 plates come together. make these things just like that. And you got the middle thing rotating with the weight and all the stuff, and you've got ball bearings running around. That's the deal. So if these channels are too big, like if we look at these really bad ones, the inner lip of that top ring, the inner lip is actually bent up. Instead of being a smooth curved top and bottom, it actually goes like this. So you've got more room, the whole thing can slop around. So what we can do is try to flatten that out, maybe put it down like this. I don't think there's a way with the locking ring to make it more locked. I think it has a set depth, and as deep as it's gonna get is as deep as it's gonna get. I think it just I think that's it. I think it clicks into place, and there's no like room for doing anything else. Wish I had 6 ball bearings. I'd put this thing together. I'll have to spend some time and do that. Okay, so some of these are the really bad ones. Darn it. Right? Yeah, it's super worn. Oh my God, I'm not even on camera. Okay, that's what I get. Okay, so we have here, this is the central post right in the middle. You can kind of see it's actually kind of rounded, blobby, almost looks like the tip of a ballpoint pen. Whereas we look at a winding bridge that is basically new old stock. I don't know if you can really see it. It's the post is square, and it's like, fatter, it's stronger. The tops of the channels, both top and bottom, are nice and flat. Well, this one has a little bit of wear, but not much. Yeah, it's pretty tight, actually. That's the way it always goes. All right, now this is the other one. Yeah, look at this. Look, wow. Look at how much it shifts the whole. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good one to check. I can see, yeah, the lip on the inside brace is raised up there, and definitely raised up sort of knife-edged and worn out on the bottom. So we want to flatten both of those things and maybe punch that down just a hair, because we can see where it's come up. So let's see what we can do. So that is just gonna go, yeah, because this one will ride exactly where it's supposed to be. I need to find a way to see if I can show this. So I've got this is the anvil I've got it on. So you got a ring with a hole in the middle so you don't hit the post, because the post sits proud of the surface there. And so if you just put it on a flat anvil, you're gonna destroy the post, and that is no fun. I've chosen 2 different staking tools to think about. This flat one is to work with the flat anvil below. Let's see if we just squish it together. See how that does. If that doesn't cut it, I'm going to use this. This is for like closing up and rounding things. But I want to see with the thin edge if we can do anything. All right, so here's the first. So wait a minute, what am I doing? Is that right? Because I got to get, that's that locking ring, yeah? Yeah, you know what? Actually, I need to go. I might have to do something else. But let's, for fun, what is that gonna? Oh, you know what that'll do is that'll actually get the bottom one in. So I heard something close up. Did I make it too stiff? Because I didn't touch the outside, it just knocked the race down a little bit. I haven't done anything else. Well, it turns. Isn't that nice? I don't know, I just never fussed with this. I guess because it wasn't too much of a priority. I mean, going through all my supplies and parts and crap and stuff, I mean, I think it was, I have like 40 of these bridges in various conditions. Maybe more, I'm not sure. But only 3 were actually bad. So, you know, maybe it's a better tech than we thought. Let's look at this one. No, that's one of the good ones, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty tight. Let's look at this one. This one looks... Yep, okay. This one also gnarly. Yeah, there's that raised inner ridge. This one isn't as bad as that one, but, you know, I mean, I'm not trying any different techniques, but this seems to accidentally be doing the job. So let's see if you guys can see that. It's better than doing it like this. Okay, we see how floppy that is, right? Yeah, you can see in the balls are kind of jerky there. Okay, so let's tap it down, see what happens. I don't know if that's any better. I'm not sure that it is. I mean, it's the sound changed, but like this first one that I did, man, you could feel the whole thing tighten up. Okay, so it's still a little floppy. Where is the raised? I think actually the ring is raised up a little bit too. Not only that, it's dished this way, okay? So let's flatten that. There we go. What do we got for our sizing? Oh no. No, no, no. Must get more ambitious. Oh, no, I want to flatten the whole thing. Do I even have a... Yeah. I think that'll do. Okay. I want to flatten the whole top, that whole locking ring. Come on. So yeah, this is the goal now, is to try to get that inner edge to drop in a little bit. And if that doesn't help, I'll try to do the outer race. Is that a little better, or is that my imagination? It must be my imagination. That looks the same. Okay. It is time to get medieval. Yeah, so we're now going to use this hollow one so that we're distributing everything to the outside. The bunking on the inside was to see if I was right or wrong about the locking ring not giving us, having a set depth, and I think that's correct. So I think that's what I've shown. So now we've got this baby, and this is just going to punch down the outside, basically sort of bend the inner lip down, and it's going to distribute it hopefully smoothly. That's one thing. If you don't do this square, you're also junk, because the races won't be even. Okay. We see how much that is. Yes? Okay. I saw that gap close up a little bit, I think. Yeah, I think that actually is better, isn't it? Let's try another one. Now, I don't know how long this will work. I don't know how long these will be good for. One more. You don't want to go too far because then the piece is wrecked. I mean, I suppose you could. No, I don't have the right. I don't have the kind of staking tool that would do that. That would ride in that gap and push down simultaneously inner and outer races, because that would be perfect if you had that. Because then that would do them both simultaneously, equal across the board. That's what you need. And I don't have anything that's right to that size. I have things that are too big and things that are too small. Huh. But I think that's what you need. I think if you get that, basically sort of, I wish you had just like a round, flat, open ring that was maybe round bottomed on the, to like close up an aperture, because that's what would, that would do the job here. Now, I could, well, no, because, okay, if I put this in here and I get a small flat and I go tick, 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 the problem is you don't know if you're going to be consistent. I'd rather have a single tool that does the whole thing at once, and I would prefer actually not using a staking press. I wish there was sets that would go with the Zeitz, because then you could put real specific pressure on it. And then you could really do it. But, I just hadn't really thought about doing this so much, so I thank you for the opportunity to think about it again. I'm going to look for more of the little ball bearings, and if I can find enough, I'll have another segment where I rebuild it and see if I can get it going. That one's nice. Basically, NOS. Look at that. This is 6106C. Fun. And we're back. What a great name. Aristides Lacunas. I think that's right? Hello, Spencer. Just wondering what your opinion on Citizen divers, vintage and new. I have an NY0040, which is great. I just can't warm up to the overall design of the thing. It would be interesting if you could compare the 8203 to basic Seiko movements, the 7000 series, for example. Some people think the Citizens are built better and better timekeepers, but to my experience, that is not true. Regards from Greece, Aristides. I've never had a problem with Citizen movements, especially like the vintage ones. One of the things I don't like is I don't like their diet, how they deal with their cap jewels. Because like with Seiko, you've got your Diashock jewel. It's the jewel that's in the cup. Then you have the lid on the bowl, which is the cap jewel, and then that whole thing is basically held together by, I don't know, virtue of being together, and they're in there, and then they're held in place with that triangular shock spring, and it works really, really well. Citizen, they have that cap jewel is integrated in that retaining spring, so it's like you can have, and they've never been particularly tight whenever I've seen them. Whenever I've had them and I poked at them, they kind of shift around a lot. I'm like, how is that conducive to helping the balance run smooth and true and evenly if the cap jewel can move around? I've rebuilt them and I've serviced them, and they've seemed to run just fine, so clearly the designers knew more than I did. But I don't know, it's always confused me. But the movements themselves are fine. Vintage Citizen movements are great. I've owned a good number of some of the big vintage Citizen watches, the different models. Like I had a beautiful 7-star, beautiful. And I sold it reluctantly, but I sold it to great guy out in California, and it just vanished. Someone stole it from his mailbox, and I haven't seen it since. That was a great watch. Well, that was a cool watch. I've owned another, like the 6105 style equivalents of Citizen from that time. The build quality is fine. It's really hard to find parts for like rotating rings and crystals. Crystals especially, they're just tough. But they're cool watches. I like them. I wish they were more affordable for something that doesn't really have a hardcore dedicated fan base and also doesn't have a lot of parts supply. And it's interesting that they go for as much money as they do. Simply because, I don't know a whole lot of like pure citizen fanboys. I don't know, that's cool. Greg Smith. Thank you, Spencer. Well, thank you, Mr. Smith. I never understood why many this is about the gold plating wear. How the gold plated watches on the base metal cases will get scratches or nicks in the protective gold coating, and then the base metal just melts away. I never understood why many older gold-plated Seikos had corrosion. I recently purchased a gold-capped QT3803, wow, which has very minor spotting on the back of the case, plating free. I will be carefully cleaning and watching those spots. The gold cap is actually very interesting, and that's a different piece of business.
Okay, well, let me show you. But now we're going to talk about something even funner, gold. But I forgot to show you during my wrist check, my other wrist. I have this real fondness for these blade style cases. I think they're really, really cool. They have, especially when you wear them open lug with like a really thin strap, it really accentuates it. Like that. There's another one. King Seiko High Beat. Wish this one's had a better dial. That's my only gripe. Anyway, why are we here? Oh yes, right. Okay, talking about gold cap. Somebody has a good ring. I'm not so concerned with cosmetics, but the fact that not broken, please let me know. I'm also looking for a dial that's even slightly better than what I've got in this, which came to me like this. By the way, I'm going to absolutely plead that I did not do this to the watch, but I'd like to undo it. Okay, so gold capped. This is a gold capped case. So it's not gold plated. It's not like those 6139s where you have base metal with crap all over it that just rots away. Here, I don't have an example of a Seiko case with gold right here, but it's one of their plated bracelets. So gold capped. If you look, it actually has like literally a layer of gold sheet metal over the entire outside of the watch, because plating doesn't really do well on stainless steel. It comes off. So this is the other way. You literally have an applied layer of gold over stainless steel, which makes this pretty legit. This one's so super worn. I don't know how, what I can do with that. Did I find a ring does that ring fit? Huh, who knows? Anyway, here's the dial on the poor thing. I've got a few plans. We'll see what I can come up with. But anyway, that is gold plating. Very cool.
So yeah, if anybody has a dial for one of those, let me know. Next question, Keith Rolla. First, a watch question. I bought a supposedly new old stock Z040S bracelet from my late dad's 61380040 bullhead. The end links are exactly 20 millimeters, as is the lug-to-lug width. Hence, two things cannot occupy the same space, and there's no room to work with. What should the end link width actually be to allow room for the insertion? 19.7 millimeters or some such? Yes, basically. Now, there are modern reproductions being made of that bracelet. It's the fishbone bracelet, people. It's not only the fishbone bracelet for the bullheads, but it's an asymmetrical fishbone. So on the bottom, it's only this wide, and on the top, it's like this wide, because the whole case is asymmetrical, and the wide top has sort of sort of stabilizes the big head of the watch. But the reproductions that are being made of those are really, really good. And they have everything down to and including the markers. But really good does not mean that it's as good as what Seiko made originally. And if Seiko made it back in the day, it would be exactly what it was supposed to be. So yeah, I would take down, obviously you're not going to work on widening the lugs. So you're going to take the bar at the end of that fishbone, and you're going to get just a little bit, just a tiny, tiny amount, and then you'll be fine. Question continues. Oh, this goes on to Ammonites. Ammonites, damn you. Goodness. I live in a 92-year-old stone-faced Tudor with Oklahoma sandstone trim around the porch entrance and stone walks and front porch. After watching your mail call 150, which was full of Ammonite information, I'm sitting outside in front and, quote, there they are. Ammonites in the front porch stone, Ammonites in the facing, Ammonites in the front walk. Even my wife is finding them. Damn you, smiley face. Man, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I had a post on Instagram. I went to the supermarket. It's like a mile down the road. I had to go pick some. It was last Sunday, and because Sabrina wasn't feeling well, and I needed to go grocery shopping. So I go down there. The light is low, the sun is low in the sky, and I'm looking. So the light is going sideways across all these different big parking dividers that are, filled with big cobble-sized rocks, stuff like this, but even more, round and big and stuff. But I'm looking at them. Every single one is an Ammonite. I can see them. I can see them standing up 8 feet away. There they are. Every last one of them. I mean, and they are all. It's hard to see them because sometimes they're so smashed and squished. This rock I've actually had in here for 7 or 8 years. It came from, I don't know, underneath a bush or something. I just thought it was neat. I liked the colors and I liked the layers. What I didn't realize is that this is an Ammonite. It's hard to see, but you can, because these things, this one again, it got squished and heated to the point that you started getting some separations of the different kinds of minerals, because different minerals in the source material before it gets melted by a volcano will have different melting temperatures. And so you can have lower melting temperatures. They'll start getting gooey and running around and separating out in layers. And you see that here a little bit, I think. But, I mean, looking at this now, I mean, I can see, like, it's all stretched and pulled. Here's the remains of, like, that's like the center point, and you can see the radiating chambers there. These lines, these are the successive coils. But again, the whole thing has just been smashed and melted and squished. And so it's very, very hard to see. But they're there. You can see all these little pieces and things, little curves and curls. You can see some more that dot, 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 ding, 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 there. They're hard to see. But as you and your wife have discovered, once you kind of know what you're looking at, once you kind of figure it out, you're like, they become easier and easier to see. The only thing that makes me actually nervous that perhaps I really am insane, or this is a simulation, I found a picture recently taken by one of our rovers on Mars. It was entitled Curiosity Finds a Sweet Jump, and it's a joke, but it was like this little lowish ramp-style rock in the middle of all this sand, and Curiosity, I believe, had driven right over it, so it had tire tracks on it. But I was looking at the side of the stone, and it was flat, and it had all these holes in it. I swear to God, I know it sounds insane. There they were. I could see them, and it wasn't even hard to see. I'm like, what other process could make that? I don't know. It's really weird. There are some actual, biologists, paleontologists. There's one I read. There was an article a couple weeks ago where somebody was talking about how the cephalopods are so bizarrely unusual. This was an actual headline in an actual science publication that they might be, quote, extraterrestrial in origin. Now, we all know about panspermia, the idea that microbes can travel dormant in space. We know that for a fact. Organic compounds, that kind of stuff. We know that Mars was wet. We know that Mars had an ocean, but that was billions and billions of years ago, long before there was any life on Earth as far as we know. So I don't think that cephalopods made it from Mars to Earth, or in fact there was ever anything on Mars, but what do I know? The problem is that those curls, the curls that make these things up, are a very common structure in nature, and so they get replicated a lot. So one has to be careful and look for all the different clues to make sure you're not speaking out of turn. But these are definitely Ammonites. I can't say for Mars, but maybe I'll put in that Mars picture and you guys can say you're crazy or not. Who knows? Here's that picture. Next question. Gareth Brennan. I always like the name Gareth. Hello from Ireland. Hello. We're totally coming. I swear, it's my #1 goal is to go to Ireland. I'm not Irish. We're not Irish. I don't have any Irish ancestry or anything. I really want to go and see it. Anyway, hello from Ireland. We are finally free from all COVID restrictions and life is good. That's great. I need to get some 6139 6000X crystal gaskets, and I'm not sure if I should go for NOS or reproductions. Do you think the NOS gaskets are still decent after all these years? What do you prefer to use? Thank you very much, Spencer. Okay. Seiko invented the L-shaped, L-profile crystal gasket. All of these watches have it. Seiko invented it specifically for that watch is not up again. Seiko specifically invented it for the super deep divers they were coming up with. It was a modification of the dual seal design that was used in the 6215 and the 6159s. They needed a way to make it better. They were going to make the grandfather tuna. And so they needed a way to really, really make that hardcore. So the problem they were having, of course, is that at depth you're going to get helium coming into the watch, and because helium's very, very small, and it can fit in it. It can come out of solution and it goes into the watch, and then the watch is, relatively speaking, neutral pressure compared with the pressure around it filled with helium. And then if you surface, all of a sudden you have an overpressure in your watch, and it can crack the crystal, it can blow a seal out, whatever. So Swiss companies like Omega did this. They came up with a helium release valve. Rolex does it too. So you go and you have your boop, and you push your thing, and the helium comes out. You're running an open connection right into the heart of the watch. Seiko looked at that and said, well, rather than trying to figure out how to get rid of the helium, let's make sure it never gets in the first place. So that's when they came up with the L profile gasket. Instead of just being like a round gasket or a flat gasket underneath like a dress watch case, if you look at it sideways, it's an L profile, and it goes all the way around, and the crystal sits in that L. So you've got two big surfaces sealing the entire bottom of the crystal, held in place very, very firmly. It's an excellent design, and it works really well. Seiko was so determined to make that design reliable that they made the crystal gaskets out of Viton. Viton kind of doesn't degrade. It's pretty much chemically invulnerable. It doesn't really oxidize. Seiko did this because they didn't want to be in a situation where, like with the 6105 crowns, they do not have Viton seals in their crowns. And in order to make the watch sealed, again, if the crown seal gets old and hard, which they did, you have to replace the whole crown because they were sealed. There's nothing you can do about it. Not everybody would do that because pain in the ass, and who has access to crowns? And Seiko being Seiko, they stopped making spare parts almost immediately. So you get the reason all these 6105s everybody sees online always have the damaged dial and hands is because of that crown. Seiko sidestepped that with the crystal gaskets because I think that's a huge amount of real estate. That crystal, just the sheer amount of surface, that contact patch is gigantic. And if a tiny little crown seal can destroy a watch, imagine if your crystal seal got old and gross, it would be even worse. So those gaskets are extremely durable. Unless, and this is Seiko's direction, this is right from the servicing guide, unless your crystal gasket is physically damaged, there's something that has damaged that sealing surface, inside, outside, on the bottom, they can be rinsed in alcohol, allowed to air dry, and reused. I have not examined any of the modern reproductions. I remember when Jonathan was working, Jonathan Koch, my old partner, he was the first guy to reproduce not only the crystals but the gaskets too. And I remember he was trying to get a new version of the crystal gaskets out not long before he died. But he was having all kinds of quality problems with them. They had the wrong, the surfaces weren't smooth enough, the dimensions were slightly wrong. He sent a bunch to me and he's like, can you see if these are okay? And I tried installing them, they were junk. To the point of when he died, and his estate was sold out from underneath him and me, because all that stuff was supposed to come here because I was his partner. Instead, the family sold it all in a estate sale, and another big name in the whole watch world snaked all those things. But one of the things that I saw in there were big bags of those crystal gaskets. Must have been 500 or 1,000 gaskets in each bag, and Jonathan had written bad on them. And I was looking at the pictures of his office because I was talking with Jonathan's family before they decided they just wanted to cash in. And I saw those bags that said bad. And I'm like, those things are bad. Don't try and sell those things because they won't work and you'll have to bring them all back. They're tough. If I had my way, I don't even worry about it. Unless, I have NOS replacement gaskets. I only use genuine Seiko for those crystal gaskets. But I keep those in reserve, the new ones, because if the originals are in good shape, then you're fine. So that's what I do. That's my thing. I mean, I've pulled crystal gaskets out of watches that were just beaten to death. You pull the crystal gaskets might be dirty, like on the top where it could be, but you carefully pull them off and they're stretchy and you clean them and they're fine. I mean, they'll outlast, literally, they'll outlast the metal of the watch, which is crazy, but it's true. Next question. SC Devon, Scooter Club of Devon? I didn't know there were any scooter clubs in Devon. I'm joking. I'm sure you're not a scooter club. I'm not sure what video this was on, but this gentleman said, great work. Thank you. It is disappointing how little parts support there is for older Japanese mechanical watches, including Seiko. Tracking down the last stop lever spring known in the world is annoying and expensive, and parts go obsolete on Japanese watches much newer than this Citizen. Oh yeah, this was a comment on the Brad Pitt watch, which I still have to rebuild again. I don't know, man. And like Citizen stuff, it's really tough because there's no centralized database of any kind to track down what you need. Finding the parts numbers, that's hell on wheels too. At least with Seiko, we have parts exchange lists and all kinds of things, but not with Citizen. And yeah, the last stop lever spring, that's when you start having to deal with giving up on the watch or finding a donor watch, or if you can, crafting a replacement or fixing the original. I've done all that stuff. You have to start getting creative. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Like the Citizen crystals? It's all black magic. This is a question about a 6117 world time. Because they have a 24-hour hand, which is different, I think, than a true GMT hand. A true GMT hand, you can set that 24 hand independently. I have a few watches that do that. Like my GMT, my Glycine, my Glycine Airman DC4. It's 41 millimeters, but it has an independently settable hand. Same thing as the Seiko 5619s. Super cool, also known as the Duo Time. Those also have an independently settable 24-hour hand. Now that's usable because if you're traveling all over the world, you can set that hand for home, which is nice. A 24-hour watch, like the 6117, like this, that hand is slaved to the rest of the train. You can't adjust it independently at all. When they do that, when you do have an independent hand, the way that normally works is the manufacturer will repurpose the architecture for the day wheel to work for the hand instead. So it's kind of the same thing, but with more usefulness, I guess. I prefer the one that you can set to anything. It has definitely more utility. I wish that Glycine wasn't 41 millimeters. I wish I had the 39 millimeter version. It's a beautiful watch. I've almost never worn it because it's just ever so slightly too big. Mr. Kirk Schroeder. I'm sorry, next question. Kirk Schroeder. He's talking about a 6105 diver. Mine has white lume and still glows. They will still glow. You get original Seiko lume that has not been damaged. Like if it's on like a watch that's been in a drawer that hasn't had a lot of wear, you'll be amazed how long this stuff will continue to glow. My personal theory is that it's a matter of how reactive the atmosphere inside the watch is. Given enough time, all the oxygen inside a watch that is properly sealed will be consumed by whatever oxidizable things there are inside a watch. And so if it's sealed properly, eventually you'll run into a situation where there's no oxygen left inside. And so something like that, I swear, when I see watches like that clearly have never been opened and they were the lume underneath the completely clearly original crystal, and the lume is just perfect white, they'll glow like they're almost new. It's crazy. I don't quite know how oxygen would do this, but it sort of dovetails with my idea that the damage to lume comes from corrosion, tarnish, which is oxidation. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe if I were really cool, I would come up with a chamber that would have pure nitrogen in it, and I could do final casing, filling the thing with low humidity, pure nitrogen. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I wonder how long that would stay. I wonder what benefit that would have. I know that a few high-end European, I think Sin makes a watch that is nitrogen charged. I don't know. If somebody knows, please let me know. I mean, I do it for fun. I don't know if it's silly, but I do it for fun. I think it'd be kind of cool if it helps. This is a question about a 6309 diver with the multi-part crown and stem assembly. Slapper 69. Nice. Hey, my crown is so loose. When screwing down, it sets my day and date. How can I fix it? Okay. I'm going to ignore the word loose, because to me, when you see the crown is loose, it's like the crown itself is moving. And on a 6309, that's really not possible. The crown would just come right off on your hand. I'd have to know exactly what's going on. If it's like my previous experiences, and you can't you're trying to reseat the crown, and it's not clicking into that last position, the all the way in position, so you're trying to screw the thing down, but it's still being fought by the watch, and so you're going to screw it down, but it hasn't gone in that final click, and you're turning the date. I've seen that a lot. The problem is actually the keyless works inside the watch. They're hanging up for some reason. out of alignment, or they're not lubricated properly, or also, this is a real key one, the spring in the stem is too weak, because they do have different strengths. Seiko made sort of like a plain metal, that's sort of a brassy orange color. They also made ones that were anodized black. Black is the ones you normally see. The replacements typically are the metal ones, but I've definitely noticed sometimes they're not as strong. So if you're having that problem, the first thing to do, well, you're going to have to open the watch, is to look at that spring and see if it's just too weak. Also, having the movement out of the watch and the stem in place allows you to remove the case from consideration as part of the problem. So then test it there again. You know, you got your movement out. You're pulling your crown out to time setting. And you're looking at it, and the thing is moving. You click it in without the case. If you can get to date 8, okay, great. If you can click it in again, then you know it's something to do with. Then you know that the problem was related somehow to the case. If you, on the other hand, you're trying to do that and it still won't drop in, like you're having to really like push it, and then it eventually goes click. Might be weak springs, so replace that spring. Also, you should check if your stem has its stem rest washer. So you have that spring, you have that, you know, the crown and the male post, and then there's the female post like so, and over the male post is the spring, but in between the spring and the female post is a tiny little washer called the stem rest washer, and it adds more strength to the spring. But it's also one of the parts that tends to get lost a lot when people are trying to redo the seals. You have to take the whole thing apart. It's really easy to lose that little teeny tiny washer, that stem rest washer. Trust me, I've lost a lot of them, but I've found them again. I have some tricks to deal with that, but so I guess check to see if your spring is strong enough. Check to see if you have your stem rest washer. And if you can isolate it and determine that the crown and stem assembly is not the problem, and you're still having that issue even with the movement out of the case, then you're isolating that problem now into the keyless works. And if you're into the keyless works, you got to pull the hands in the dial, and you got to pull that stuff apart and look at it to make sure that it's clean, lubricated properly. You'll be amazed how much good lubrication does to a watch. Anyway, that's what I would check. Last question of sorts. It's a parts inquiry. John Taylor, do you have the barrel and train bridge for a 25 joule Advan 6106C? Well, they're not that uncommon. I'm sure that I do. I don't really sell parts. That's not one of my things. Not for any other reason than it takes time. It's a pain in the butt, and I have more than enough things for my time already. If you look, Seiko introduced the C fairly early on. I mean, they started with the A and which was single day language, and then they went to double day language, and that was in like that was in the C. The B, basically like the quick set arrangement was kind of not really that great, and so they changed it. So I wouldn't look for Seiko Advan, because that's going to bring up collector's pieces. But if you look for 6106, Seiko 6106, you're going to come up with a ton of listings. But if you can sort it for, this is what I do, for North America, for United States only, and you look then for a complete watch, you can probably, you can get a complete watch for really not a whole lot of money. And the advantage about doing it that way versus coming to someone like me and saying, please sell me this one part. Someone like me, it's going to be a lot more expensive for that one single part. But you can go on eBay, find a 6106, anything later than about 1969, 1970, 6106 that says 25 joules. on the dial. You can find it 6106 Actis. The Actis 6106s are going to have that barrel and train bridge. But you're going to get, if you get a nice watch, a donor watch with like a clean dial and nice white lume, it looks good. Even if the outside of the case is dirty, you're not just going to get the barrel and train bridge. If that lume is nice and it looks good inside, you're going to get all the other parts that come with it. All that stuff. Balance and pallet, fork and wheels and all the extra stuff you need. Seriously, just go on eBay and find a decent looking 6106C 25 jewel here in the United States with clean white lume. Buy that and then off you go. If you feel up to it, that's what I would do. I don't know. That's about it. There's not much really going on. I am still trying to make time to go through my state of the collection. I've been prepping for it for like 2 weeks. And then I just keep not making time to make the video, but I really want to. Because it's been a useful process to look at my watches and decide what is important and what isn't. So that is I'm not gonna pinky swear, but I really, really want to do that video. And that's about it. I thank you all for your questions. And please keep them coming. I especially technical questions. I love talking about technical stuff. I don't know. That's about it right now. It's cold. Sun's dropping. Everything's getting dark. Time to close the shades and settle down for a long winter's nap. Okay, folks. Thank you very, very much. Oh, and if anybody has a clue about physical properties of this like rubber, this chemistry of this era of strap, is there any way to make them more supple? I mean, I know you can heat these and they get floppier for a little bit, but then they get hard again. So if somebody knows, let me know. Other than that, adios.